Hello and welcome to a very special video. Today we're going to talk about the importance of one-page rules and other options, aka older editions. Now I want to make a real quick point here. We're dealing with a company in Games Workshop that has told people that it is alright with them getting lost, not buying their product, and has given an open treaty, or warrant if you prefer, to people to call anyone who goes, hey, I don't like what's being done, a horrible unclean, and to push them out in an effort for Games Workshop to ultimately push towards the mainstream and face the same issues that Star Trek, Star Wars, Doctor Who, Marvel, DC, and you name it has done in the past, So, for one, why is one-page rules important? So, my first point is this. There are very few times in any medium where you get something that is a generic rules that can be, at the very least, penetrate into many discussions and be seen as something worth using as an option. Someone says, hey, I like the older Warhammers, but I don't like this new one. What else could I play? And inevitably you will see someone say one-page rules, or OPR if you prefer. And that is difficult to do. If you've been around role-playing games, you'll know that oftentimes there are hundreds, if not thousands, of alternatives, and for the most part people will list them off and people will go, what in the hell is that? In a similar case, this is the Old School Renaissance, or OSR, has kind of done a similar thing, but it's a myriad of products, which is something I hope in the future we see in a similarity to one-page rules when it comes to wargaming. Second, it's a concise, simple rule set that's easy to learn within, I'd say, roughly 40 minutes to an hour, depending on the individual and, well, what their beforehand knowledge, if they're a wargamer, if they're not, if they understand the lingo, you know what I'm saying in that regard. Effectively, it's concise, it's simple, it's easy to learn, it's easy to teach, and it replicates a kind of beer and pretzels style of gaming. I've heard it likened to 3rd edition, Warhammer 40k, and honestly, that's a nice thing to have, because oftentimes when we have alternatives, they are beyond generic and they don't really capture something that people are looking for that you can't get with just the main product that they're trying to fill the shoes in of. Third, they have a good amount of tools to help you ease into it. So have you been faced with Games Workshop legending and or just outright eliminating whole swaths of your collection? Well, one-page rules has you covered. They have on their website calculator that you can use to construct units. It'll do the cost. You'll be able to set them up. You'll be able to create them, and you can save that, print it off, and now all of those units that were glorified paperweights under Games Workshop without WYSIWYG and all that fun stuff are now completely usable in one-page rules. They also have an army construction system on their page. It has the rules, it has the different codexes or army list if you prefer, and it has the tools to make your own, along with an army creation tool, which is web-based, so you can access it in a myriad of ways. Let me point out that oftentimes a lot of these efforts to make something generic or an alternative are usually passion projects. They are people who have become unhappy or seeking to recreate something that has been, in their opinion, lost. Therefore, they often lack the funding and or options that many of these larger especially corporate-backed options, have. And this is a good thing in that it makes it easier for people who have collections to get into it, or if someone has a 3D printed army of random hands and they want to make an army list with it, they can do that and turn around and play it fairly on the table using the one-page rules against any number of armies. It opens up your ability to not only use your collection, but to use just wildly insane things on top of it. You like a model range that one of the guys or modelers has made, you download the STLs, you can have it printed out at a shop or your own stuff. You can put it on the table and use their system to create rules that work within that set of rules. It is a really great thing to have. And honestly, it's one of the other good reasons to go with one-page rules. Now, I mentioned other things besides one-page rules. So I've given you 3 reasons why I think one-page rules is important. Let me talk briefly about older editions. Now, I understand a lot of people will look at it and go, okay, Mr. Nobody, I get it. I understand. But it doesn't have that it factor for me. It's not bringing to the table that flavor thing I need. And I go, you know what? You're 100% right. There are some areas in which it lacks it because it's more focused on a beer and pretzel experience. Some people are going to want some more. They're going to want some of the granularity within Warhammer. That's where older editions come in. So, in that regard, let me give you another option that you can go with that uses older codexes, but it gives a more unified rule system to go with it. And that is called Pro Hammer Classic. Now, it effectively takes a lot of the rules that were disparate between the different older editions from 3rd to 7th, creates a kind of unified rule system that lets you use the codexes from any of the different editions you feel like within that span. Now, I understand a lot of people go, oh boy, that's not going to end well. But it does a good job at letting people use what they have at hand. Let's be perfectly honest. A lot of people are very guilty of selling their older rules books, and not a lot of new players are going to always know what codex to get, what edition that codex is from, because let's be perfectly honest, even some of us who go back and look at the codex goes, I'm going to have to guess based on the art because they don't list what edition oftentimes, or at least not in my area. I never saw a listing of it. So Pro Hammer Classic, it does as much as it can to kind of emulate the older 40k rule sets while making it more viable for multiple different editions codexes. Now that's to consider some of the swinginess of some of the older codexes. Lastly, we do have the older editions. If you can find a group that can agree on an edition to play, and you have the resources at hand to, induct new people that might come along, or simply be able to have everyone be able to play the things they want, it's a good thing. It eliminates your need to rely on Games Workshop. It eliminates the fact that you feel a pressure to constantly have to keep up with a churn. Maybe you don't like the newer focus on tournaments and competitive. Maybe you want something different, and you know a group of people who want. Why let those older resources go to waste? So, in general, one-page rules offers an actual true generic option to let people play a whole myriad of things, including their old collection that's been forgotten or put aside because the rules don't let it anymore. It also allows people to induct new things and wild creations in and be able to play it alongside that. Pro Hammer Classic tries to create a single rule set which can be compatible with any number of the older codexes. And of course, old editions are reusing things that you might have at hand and let you play the editions that you truly loved. The thing I want to express here is the importance of all of this is that it's your hobby. You need to be able to enjoy it. And when you have a company that not only despises you and wants you to go away, it's important to be able to go, here are my options, and this is what I can go do. I don't need to put up with your BS. Because the people who are going to come in because it's popular will flitter away as soon as the foundation crumbles of the old fans. The demand on the product goes down, and the politically minded people go and find something else to be parasites on. And that just leaves the rest of us to look at the ashes. So, in general, it's important for us to go out, seek alternatives, and support things that we find legitimately entertaining. Be they old editions, be they a new spin on old rules, or be they a completely different option that lets us play with the things that we already have and gives us goals and entertainment. So, if you like what I'm doing, hey, give me a sub if you want, I guess. Throw a comment. I always like to respond to everybody. And give me any suggestions you would like me to cover as we go on with this future of wargaming. So, till then, bye-bye.